Casey, about a week ago, Sydney was hovering around the 200 a day mark. Now it's past 300.
That's right, David, and clearly we're in for the long haul now. The state's Chief Health Officer, she's still saying that more could be done in workplaces to try and intervene in the transmission that's actually occurring, but we're really not seeing much forthcoming from the New South Wales government on that. And so if the settings are unlikely to be changing anytime soon, well, don't expect the number of cases to come down to zero anytime soon. What we're seeing at the moment is that the state is holding a line. The trend line, though, is pointing up. We're seeing slow growth day by day, as well as the number of cases out in the community, while infectious, that too is growing at the moment. So the question is, can the state cap that growth, hold that line for long enough and cap that day-on-day growth for as long as it needs to bridge the point where the vaccination rate is high enough that it starts to kick in and help finish the job off. The Doherty Institute modelling, it suggested that if you can get the number of eligible people double dosed up to 50% on top of a hard lockdown and on top of the suboptimal contact tracing we're seeing at the moment, well, then that would probably be enough to see the curve start to bend. New South Wales, it's currently at about 45.5% of people with a first dose at the current pace. It's a week or less from getting this number to 50%, which means we're about 7 weeks from seeing this number hit 50%. Having said that, the pace is still picking up, of course, and the rate of vaccinations is still increasing. The most efficient way for these vaccinations to have an impact on the transmission rate would be to get the doses into the arms of the people most likely to be infected right now. And today is so-called Super Sunday at Olympic Park in Sydney, not Tokyo, and priority is being given to food service workers and supermarket workers. Let's hope as many of them as possible do take up the opportunity, because meanwhile the pressure on hospitals is continuing to grow and deaths are continuing to add up. And David, these numbers now include 5 deaths of people who were exposed to COVID-19 while admitted to the Liverpool hospital. Yeah,
that's a worry. And Casey, the other 2 lockdowns, some worrying numbers in Victoria, but better news in southeast Queensland.
Yeah, let's start in Queensland, where we've actually seen some rapid improvement in what the situation has looked like in just the past few days. Still significant numbers of cases each day, but we've gone from the number of cases in isolation through their infectious period being just 11% a few days ago to yesterday 100%, and so just a few hours presumably away from learning whether Queensland will come out of that lockdown today or whether it will take a little bit longer. But another effect, if I just jump back to this chart quickly, of this lockdown is we've seen a big surge in the number of vaccine doses going into arms in Queensland, 35,000 a day on average at the moment, and that really has been a rapid increase. The big question is, will that continue once the lockdown lifts? The situation in Melbourne, that's a little bit messier, of course. Those 29 cases we saw yesterday took most of us by surprise, and half of those were at the Altaqua College, a community that's been through a lot in this pandemic. So it was great to see a pop-up vaccination clinic established so quickly there to get as many people in that community vaccinated. And then another 11 cases today, again, none of those in isolation through their quarantine period. So David, I think there's a lot of work still to be done in Melbourne and Victoria just to work out exactly, both to mop up all of the cases that exist, but also to determine if there are any more chains of transmission that have been missed, any other mystery cases that are yet to rear their heads. And David, I think it's probably likely to be at least a few more days before we really know the answers to all those questions.